Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is Michelle, and who's here with me?
It's JD.
It's JD. Matter of fact, it is, in fact, JD. So
Just
JD.
right, direct to the point. No fucking
exactly.
around. It's
No.
hi if this is your first episode. I swear sometimes.
One of my favorite messages that I've ever gotten in response to the show actually came in last week from my friend Kate.
Hi,
She
Kate.
was listening. She was listening to the show in the car, and she was listening to Monster House. And when we got to the spoiler section, I made a big point of saying this isn't a show for fucking kids, while her two very young children were in the vehicle. And she said that she laughed really hard. And so I
That's
appreciate
wonderful.
that.
Please
we're
listen
not
to
a
our
show for
show while
fucking
children are
kids.
in the car.
Yeah, please
We're-
do. They will
we
love
are
it.
we are very, very big fans of your kids as long as we don't have to be responsible for them. That's the
Charlie
trade-off.
is very cute. When
Don't
she came
ever
over
ask-
to my house, when she came over to my house, I don't have like kid stuff here because I don't have kids here very often. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't really have like a great place for her to hang out. And then she went to the corner of our living room where all the cat stuff is, including a fabric tunnel and a tent, and she had a blast. And I was like, oh my God, my house is built for cats and toddlers. Awesome. So that is
Yeah.
what I learned.
My my ability to tolerate my friends' children is kind of like a gentle uphill and then a dramatic curve that then goes down way lower than it ever started. So it's like I like to see them a little bit because I do like kids. Kids have an energy, man. It's I mean, obviously they get upset sometimes and that's not so fun, but I like kids just having fun and laughing and having a good time, right? It's an energy you don't get anywhere else, and I like to be around it. But there's a limit. And once you cross that limit, it fucking plummets off a cliff, and I don't want your fucking children anywhere near me. Get them out of this goddamn house. I don't want to be here. We cannot occupy the same space.
It's
and that's
basically
probably
as soon as nap time starts.
Yeah,
And
as soon as
skip it. Yep.
Basically, yeah, as soon as the energy changes. When the energy changes from up here to down here, then I got to get the fuck out of there. That's,
Yeah. Suddenly we got bad vibes, bro. Your kid has to leave.
Right, yeah. Either your kid or me. One of the two. We can't be in the same space, that's for sure. If
Just
I'm the one who has
leave
to
them
leave,
at my house. Good
it's
luck.
cool. I will just,
Yeah.
I'll dip. I'll take a walk around the block. You figure out how to get that thing asleep by the time I get back. Everything will be fine. Yeah, I just referred to your baby as that thing.
It'll become a child again when it's cute and manageable. But
What
while
if it
it's
never
making my anxiety
becomes
do
cute
this.
and manageable, though, Michelle?
Well, then that's why I don't have kids, because that is a
That's
possibility.
exactly right. A possibility. It's the norm, if you ask me. Most of them
Good
are
point.
not cute. Most of them are neither cute nor manageable.
They're very liquidy. That's the thing I know
Man.
about kids.
Yeah, both inside and sometimes outside.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the outside part. Inside makes sense. That's human biology.
Keep your
But the
do
outside being all snotty and saliva-y and full of tears and mud. And now they've been crawling around on the ground, and all the remnants of the carpet are now attached to them through their own body fluids. I don't like body fluids.
So ultimately, what we're getting to is that a good rule of thumb, just for life in general, is keep your liquids in your body.
That is a really good life. Yeah, that unless
when you stop and
keep
think
your
of all the
liquids-
implications.
Yeah, keep your liquids in your body unless someone else has explicitly talked to you about allowing them someplace
Keep
else.
them to yourself and dispose of them properly when necessary.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's great. That's a good motto everybody should live by. I need that on a shirt.
keep your
To
liquids.
remind
I also
everyone.
appreciate liquids instead of fluids because it sounds way creepier when you say liquids for some reason. I don't know. Keep your
Yeah,
liquids
anything-
to yourself.
Viscous. Ugh. Okay. Well,
Ugh.
all that is to say.
All right. Well, yeah, this is We Watch Shudder, guys. If it's your first time tuning in, thanks for checking out the show. We're pushing up near the end of Spooktober. We've been doing movies every day. about Halloween, except for obviously the days when there's new releases. You guys know how it works. I'm just neurotic about explaining. You've been through this a million times, or maybe never. It is what it is. Today, we're talking about the 1966 heavy metal Halloween classic, Trick or Treat. I said 66, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I got
You
sixes
your
on the
kicks
brain.
from
I thought I was
66.
I thought I was gonna go 19666, and then it didn't happen, and I don't know. Anyway, yeah, 1986, Trick or Treat, not to be confused with one we did earlier in the month called Trick or Treat. Two completely different films in almost every consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about today. Michelle, had you at any point, again, knowing your relationship with Uncle Jeff and the sort of the time period involved here, did you, before this episode, ever see the 1986 heavy metal Halloween film Trick or Treat?
I don't believe so, but I can tell you Jeff very, very, very strongly recommended it every chance that he got. He really wanted me to see this movie.
All right.
And now I have.
Trick or Treat.
Or Treat.
Right on. So that's what we're talking about today. We've got a Descrippy script. I should be clear, by the way, because Michelle didn't bother to return the favor of asking the question like I so obviously laid up to her to do.
I
Michelle,
didn't know if you wanted to respond
Michelle,
to it.
look, we know at
Sorry.
this. Look, if I'm just being honest with myself, we know at this point that I only ask you questions that I want to answer.
That's fair. Okay, JD,
No,
had
that's
Jeff,
not
had my
true.
Uncle Jeff tried to convince you to watch this movie before?
No, not once, because I assumed Jeff probably assumed, oh, it's JD. He definitely had seen the 1986 Halloween heavy metal film Trick or Treat, but nope, this is the first time I ever saw it.
Oh, I also made assumptions, so I guess I made an ass out of you and me. Because I totally thought
no, you made an ass out of you and Umption.
Yep, that's true.
Because
Me
you
and
made
Umption.
assumptions. Yeah,
Yep,
you and Umption.
I got you.
Anyway. Wow.
Well,
It's a
okay.
weird energy here. Michelle just woke up. I just got back
Bad
from a dog
vibes.
walk. Oh, man, we're having a good time.
To clarify, I did just get up at 10:15 p.m.
Yeah, 10:15
Girl
in
needed
the
a
evening.
nap.
Yeah,
I'm a sleepy person right now.
I am not criticizing the nap I took. I laid down for what I intended. Does it still count as a nap if you wake up 3 hours later?
I consider a nap 4 hours or less.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting. I guess. So, like, how much, like, when you actually, like, lay down to sleep, how, like, is there a minimum? Is it that 4 hour mark where it now becomes, how much do you typically sleep in a night's sleep, Michelle?
4 to 6 hours.
Oh, my God. Isn't that terrible?
For most people, yes, but that is the level that I need. 4 to 6 hours,
realized-
usually 6 hours.
I just realized my reaction to you telling me about how your life is just like, God, that sounds like it sucks.
Part of it is I do have a sleep disorder. So if I sleep too long, the dreams show up and then I start hallucinating. You guys, I dream when I'm awake. Like when you wake up, the dream continues. My brain doesn't realize that we have stopped being asleep and we should wake up now. And my favorite example of that was when I was sleeping and I woke up and my brain didn't get the memo. And then the Boston Dynamics robotic dog walked into my room. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my life. Those things should not be walking through my house. And they should especially not be coming up to me when I'm just waking up.
Well, those
terrifying.
things, first of all, it shouldn't even exist in the first place.
They're kind of cute.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
Have you considered talking to a doctor about your sleep issues?
I have had a sleep study, and their solution was to give me medicine so that I can't wake up. So that my brain, like I have to sleep for at least 10 hours.
Will they give you Seroquel?
I don't remember because I don't take it.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
You
I
should
just
find
feel
out what
like
it is. I might
waking up.
take it.
Okay. Well, I can find it. It is around here somewhere because their solution was
Don't take
well, we're
other
gonna make
people's
it.
prescription medicines, guys. Don't do that.
Yeah, maybe it's over
I
the counter
mean,
for all I know because I don't know the name of it. I will find out and I will tell you because their solution
Michelle?
was, oh, the problem is you're waking up and there's a robot dog in your room. Problem solved. Don't wake up.
Like, see, I have a problem with that sentence, don't wake up, because like, my implication in all of that is whatever? You want me to just
I
never
wish.
wake
God.
up?
Oh, I can't
Wow.
make those jokes anymore because my therapist listens. So,
No, that's the
man.
best time to make those jokes. No, I promise we're gonna talk about this movie at some point. But you just reminded me of one of the most terrifying things that ever happened to me. It was back when my dad was still alive, and I was living with my parents, kind of in between two colleges, and taking a year off, being a slacker. And my dad was a diabetic, and he had a decent amount of health issues. But at this particular time, there was nothing serious going on that I was aware of. And anyway, we're just sitting there, and he says to me, "Hey, you want to come in and make sure that I'm awake around 6 o'clock tomorrow morning?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And all he said was, and look, what he meant was he needed to be up early for something, and he wanted to make sure he got up in time. And in retrospect, that seems obvious. But he said, "You want to come in and around 6 o'clock and make sure I'm awake?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "'Cause I'm not sure I'm going to wake up in the morning." And I was like, what do you mean? What? And I panicked. I was like, what are you talking about right now? And then immediately it all sorted itself out. But holy shit. You want to talk about your blood pressure and pulse skyrocketing? Fuck, I didn't sleep for like 12 hours after that. Jesus, it was terrifying.
That's really funny, though.
It was pretty great. It was pretty fantastic.
Comedy
Anyway.
is tragedy plus time. So.
Oh, it didn't even need much time. That was mostly comedy was right there slapping you in the face because I'm a dummy and not paying attention. Anyway.
On that note, should I read the
we're
IMDb descripty script?
Yeah, tell these it's a Trick or Treat 1986. Here's what IMDb has to say about it in part.
A bullied teenage boy is devastated after the death of his heavy metal idol, Sammy Kerr. Not reading more than that, you get the idea. Trick or Treat, 1986, rated R, an hour, 38 minutes. JD,
Yeah,
it was your first time seeing this movie. Why don't you give us your spoiler-free thoughts? 13 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, we should probably do that. It's all right. Here's what this movie is to me. Is this movie strikes me as, because it came out right in the middle of that 1980s satanic heavy metal panic thing. You got Gene Simmons from Kiss in the movie and Ozzy Osbourne's in the movie. It feels like they were trying to take the piss out of that idea that heavy metal rock and rollers were into the devil and trying to turn kids on to Satan. But the way they chose to do that seemed kind of, I don't know. Well, we'll talk about it in the spoiler section in a little bit more detail. This is another situation where I feel like had I initially seen this back in the late 80s or early 90s when I was still very young, I might have a different opinion of it. But this was just ho-hum for me. Nothing really stood out in any way at all except some of the music from Fastway was pretty cool. I don't have anything really against it, I guess. I totally get why people would have a huge nostalgia trip for this, but I don't know. Let's give it a 2.
Okay. 2 out of 5 human skulls from JD.
Yeah. Michelle, tell us your spoiler-free thoughts.
Surprisingly, I like this. I thought this was fun. No nostalgia on this end whatsoever, but I don't know. I think it is nothing like I thought it would be. I had no idea what the plot of this film even was. And if you had told me, well, I'm not going to say anything because so far they only know a bullied teenage boy is devastated after the death of his heavy metal idol.
We would hate to spoil this 1986 film for you.
I got to keep that mystery alive.
No,
They're 15 minutes into it, and they're definitely going to be swayed by what I have to say so much that they're going to pause and go watch it right now.
I do want to apologize. I told everybody that Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne both make appearances in this film. That would have been a spoiler right up until the opening credits.
It would have been great if they played the two main characters. That would have been real good. But I mean today's Ozzy Osbourne, incoherent Ozzy Osbourne playing the main guy of this.
I'm going to have to, you know what? Let me just ask quickly before we forget. Did you even recognize Ozzy Osbourne in this, Michelle?
I did not.
Okay, so I'm certain then that you also didn't recognize Gene Simmons.
I did recognize Gene Simmons.
Oh, really? Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think Ozzy looks so different from how, my first time seeing Ozzy Osbourne was his reality TV show.
I was gonna say there was a period where he aged so dramatically, and then I realized, nah, dude, you have just also aged dramatically. He was your age when you got to know him, and now he's twice as fucking old as you are.
Don't say that. The passage of time.
All right, so
what am I gonna give this? I'm gonna go 3.25.
3.25 from Michelle.
Which happens to be what I gave Night of the Demons, now that I look at my spreadsheet. And you know what? I'd say this is on par with Night of the Demons. 3.25.
All right, Night of the Demons, Trick or Treat, going right up. And so 5 points, so it's a 2.625 average?
That is correct.
Woohoo! I know my fractions.
Good job.
My fractions.
This means that the three most recent Halloween movies that are on the adult side are all 3.25 as I look at it now.
Oh, so. for your ratings?
Yes. So I hope Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is not also 3.25 or I'm going to be predictable AF. We shall find out, and I'm going to be in my head about that one.
I've only seen it one time, and it took me the first time was, and we'll talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch in a couple days. Let's get to the spoilers for Trick or Treat 1986. And of course, that always starts with Michelle telling Jenna what happens in the movie. Jenna, we love you.
Yeah. Hello, Jenna. We are about to go see Smile 2, but in the meantime, let me explain to you Trick or Treat, which, by the time that this episode comes out, you will have seen Smile 2. And did it make you smile? I will know.
When are you going to see Smile 2?
We're going tomorrow. I was going to ask if you wanted to come with.
Oh, were you, Michelle? Were you?
Yep.
I appreciate it, but I have to host trivia tomorrow evening. Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. No, I already knew that.
God damn it, Michelle.
We'll have seen Smile 2.
Invitation?
And JD specifically would not be invited.
JD frankly is specifically not terrible. I wasn't the biggest fan of Smile, so Smile 2 is not really one I'm dying to see.
Well, good pun. Trick or Treat. This is a movie. It's from 1986, and boy, is it a 1986 movie. This has got 80s all over the place because it took place in the 80s, and you can tell because you have eyes and ears, and it's real 80s. There's a boy. His name is Eddie. And Eddie, he likes the rock and roll. He's all about that. He's like, classical music, Beethoven? Nah, fuck off. Give me other stuff. I don't know what would be classified as good 80s rock and roll in a way that nobody would make fun of me for being like, that's good 80s rock and roll. They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's Garth Brooks, you know? Like, I would get the genre completely wrong and just upset people who actually understand music. But Eddie, he understands music, and he understands Sammy Kerr, who is his idol. You know about that from the IMDb description. What you don't know, actually, yes, you do, also from the IMDb description, is that Sammy Kerr died. And Eddie, he's real sad about that. But he gets a vinyl record. I know. What is that, you might be asking, young child? And it's a flat disc that you put on a player, and then you put a needle on top of it, and then it would spin around and it would play stuff. And so he gets a copy of Sammy Kerr's last album, and this guy's going to play it on the radio on Halloween. And not if Eddie can listen to it first. So he does, and then he plays it backwards, and there's hidden messages. And fun fact, hidden messages in songs playing backwards used to scare the shit out of me when I was a teenager. So I think that's partially why I like this, because I would go down rabbit holes of finding the songs that had the background things, and like all the Pink Floyd and Staircase to Heaven, all of that. I was all up in that, and like, what does it mean? They're trying to tell us something. In this case, though, he really is. Sammy is communicating through the vinyl record. I bet he's sure mad that we now only do digital stuff. I know vinyl records are like coming back, but this demon's just sitting there waiting for somebody to enjoy vinyl records again, because everybody just listens to iTunes instead. So Eddie listens to it, and backwards Sammy Kerr is like, "Well, we do kill your friends." And then so Eddie takes Sammy's advice, and he like gets back at the bullies, and there's this cool part where like he's gonna stab a guy's eye out, but then he doesn't. But then things go too far because the girl dies, and everyone's like, we gotta kick Eddie's ass because he's definitely a murderer. And then Eddie doesn't want his ass getting kicked, and he tells his friend to take the vinyl record and destroy it. But then that guy gets curious, and he plays the music, and then Sammy Kerr winds up at a school dance somehow. I don't recall how exactly that all worked out, but people think that he is a Sammy Kerr impersonator because of, how he looks like Sammy Kerr. He do be that guy, so he do be looking like that guy. But people are like, well, that guy died, so clearly this isn't the same guy. And no, they're wrong. People are dumb. Sometimes people, you think they're dead, but then they turn out to be the impersonator that you thought they were all the time. I don't know what that means. And then basically he's weak to lightning, electricity specifically. Electricity is just small lightning living in your walls. So he's weak to electricity. And then there's something where he gets driven off a cliff, Thelma and Louise style, and that's how he dies. And there's absolutely no candy in this whole movie, and that's kind of bullshit. Just tricks, no treats. Trick or treat. 1986.
Trick or Treat, 1986. Yeah, so this movie, like I said, it's weird because it's like, it feels like it was very much a criticism of like that rock and roll, like the heavy metal satanic panic thing in the 80s. But then the way they chose to tell that story is, it's about a heavy metal rock star who, as it turns out, really was like in league with the devil and really did want to turn people into devil slaves or whatever, and he has to be saved by one of his fans. So what, like the fans are all right, but it's just the bands that are trash? I was confused about what this movie was trying to tell me, is what I'm saying.
I'm okay with people thinking that I'm in league with the devil and trying to kill them. So I did not see a problem in that.
No, I just...
Maybe I am. Maybe
well,
I am.
The point is, it feels like they were making fun of those people who are like, it's like, no, it's not really that. It's all just imagery and that sort of thing. But then, I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting the whole thing. Maybe the whole thing was intended to be, these are the real devils. These are the real evils of heavy metal music, and you must be concerned. Maybe Trick or Treat is the heavy metal equivalent of the early 80s Tom Hanks vehicle Mazes and Monsters, which served as a criticism of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. Movie. You've never heard of Mazes and Monsters? Oh, nope. My God, Michelle.
Nope. You said it was Tom Hanks?
Yes, it's one of his very first feature film roles.
He makes me cry in everything he does. He'll find a way.
It's about some kids.
This does not have a good score.
Oh, no, it's about some kids who do like a live action Dungeons and Dragons thing, and it makes them go crazy. It's it's something. But
wow. Look at that Tom Hanks. He still looks the same.
Yeah, he sure does. Tom Hanks has always looked Tom Hanks. Look at this. We're barely into our discussion in the spoiler section of this movie, and we're already talking about a different movie. That's
I don't
kind
have
of
much to say about it. I
that.
liked
That
it.
yeah, it's got some effects.
it.
I thought the Sammy Kerr makeup was cool.
I like the part where there's music.
Is this how our review is gonna go? We're just gonna do little one sentence blurbs.
I did like the comedy in here. I think that Eddie was like very awkward in a fun, endearing way. So I think that's a big part of it. Is the main character was very likable for me, and the way that he's like getting bullied and he's just like kind of the weirdo that everybody accuses him of being. I enjoyed that.
I also love that there's no sort of explanation or angle as to why that girl from the high school is into him. Like, a movie like this written today, they would do this whole thing where, like, they were neighbors and, you know, like, they were really good friends back when they were little kids. Then they grew up and went their separate ways. Nah, she's just some chick at school who thinks he's kind of dope and none of her friends do, but she's just like, yeah, I think it's kind of cool.
It's like Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy, exactly like that. He was a skater boy. She said, "See you later, boy." Oh wait, well, I guess it's if that girl is Avril Lavigne, because at the end, Avril Lavigne does get the skater boy, and she's making fun of other people who didn't recognize how cool he is.
I gotcha.
She is Avril Lavigne, and he is a skater boy. But she said, "See you later, boy," and then he wasn't good enough for her.
So you didn't recognize, or you did recognize Gene Simmons as Nuke. I liked the idea of Ozzy as the preacher talking shit about heavy metal music. It's gonna be real interesting, I imagine, again, for people like yourself who mostly know Ozzy from the second half of his life. Like, he's strangely coherent and understandable. There's still life in his eyes. It's wild, but
I got done with the movie and I had to go back and see where he was because I was
seriously?
I thought Ozzy was in this.
Yeah, he was the preacher. Yeah, that's so fucking
very
oh my
funny,
god,
because he is he's like a normal guy.
I was trying to figure out if maybe that name Sammy Kerr was a reference to something, or if it was supposed to be, you know, sort of and I started thinking maybe they were talking like, oh, he's like a cur dog, you know, like a real aggressive mongrel, rough tumbled dog, but that only has one R in it, and his name has two R's. So now I'm like, is that just a name they made up? Like, that was the name, Sammy Kerr? I don't know. Something about that
I
name.
thought the same as you, but I mean, doing just one R might have been a little too on the nose.
Maybe just like that rock and roll thing where they double up letters.
Don't double up letters, triple them. That's a real hardcore rock.
Kerr.
Yeah. Oh, now you're a pirate.
Sammy Kerr. I did like they definitely, whoever decorated that kid's room knew good music. Like sometimes you see people, you know, like there's a movie where they have like, oh, let's make a heavy metal kid's room, and it's totally wrong, right? Like, it's a complete disaster. This was actually really good. They got let's see, he's got Megadeth records, he's got Exciter records, he got Possessed. He has a record from a band called Impaler, who are from the Twin Cities, and I think are still around, who are a lot of fun. All sorts of wild posters. There's like a wicked old school Motorhead photo in his locker. Like, that was like, that I really appreciated about this movie, right? Is at least the person who was in charge of making it feel authentic to that subculture at that time did a really good job. And I do think that's why there's a certain kind of person, you know, 80s and 90s metalhead kids who are drawn to this movie, right? It's definitely, it gets that part right. And that's so important for those of us who are actually into this kind of stuff. for a movie like this to be able to resonate. I think I just came by it way too late in my life. I should have seen this one 30 years ago. Well, I couldn't have seen it. Yeah, I could have seen it 30 years ago.
I just like an underdog winning.
That's fair.
It's just that. It's
That's
a weird,
fair.
nerdy guy, and he gets the girl. What's not to like?
I do like that the big scene at the Halloween dance is like, oh, it's like what if Carrie but lightning instead of fire. It's like
Which
like
is
the movie
inferior, for the record. The lightning's not nearly as
Oh,
good as Carrie.
Well, I might agree with you there, except, I mean, let's be fair. He is shooting lightning out of a guitar, Michelle.
Carrie lit things on fire by looking at them really wide.
Right,
Really
but
wide-eyed.
she didn't have that incredibly phallic guitar ejaculating lightning all over the audience.
I thought we said keep your fluids to yourself, and I guess that
We
included
did.
guitar lightning.
Yeah, it does. I'm just saying, that's maybe a little bit more horrifying when you think. I just that's
Absolutely.
like I said,
Wow. Okay.
there are
Carrie
little
needed
bits
a
of
dick,
this.
Dick guitar, I guess.
She
a dick
needed-
guitar.
I'm not gonna say the thought that just crossed my mind. Oh my God, we went far too far. Oh yes, I am gonna say it. She just needs to squirt fire. Oh my God, why did I do it? No.
Oh, new remake. I know we've had
Oh,
one
no.
Carrie remake at
No.
least. I do need newest
No.
Carrie remake.
No,
Carrie's
we do
back
not.
and
do
squirtier
not.
than ever.
Do not.
Directed by Mike Flanagan.
Oh God.
New Stephen King adaptation from the man
okay.
himself. You feeled how I feel about the original Sissy Spacek Carrie. Everything you did was canon and made it better.
I really hope your friend is listening to this episode in the car with her children.
Let's be honest. By the time she listens, we're not friends anymore because she's realized what a weirdo I am. Actually, no, out of all the people, Kate's my oldest friend. Not age-wise. She's only 8 days older than I am.
Your
We have been
longest
friends
friend.
since second grade. Yep. And
Your
she's
longest
still here.
friendship.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
Bizarre. We've had some rough times. I did kick
got, like,
her
what-
out of my car once, and then.
Oh Jesus, that's a whole
Teenagers
thing.
are shitty.
And and then at some point, so am I supposed to believe? I'm sorry, this is a random thought that just popped into my head because I happened to flip over to the IMDb page and it's playing clips from the movie. Am I supposed to believe that this Sammy Kerr dude was actually like reaching into the TV and pulling people out of the TV and then cooking them to death? And like that
Yeah, that's
wasn't
one
on
of
the
coolest
news.
Parts.
Like that
Well,
wasn't on the news. They weren't like this lady just disappeared from the middle of the thing, and then nobody
They
knows
didn't
what
have the
happened to her.
internet. How would people
Also,
know? Back in the day, news could only spread via horseback.
But Michelle, that was a news broadcast that he pulled that lady out of. You don't think they would have been like, "Whoa, what the hell is going on? Why did she just disappear?"
That is how slow the news worked before the internet. They didn't get the memo that lady disappeared until a guy on a horse showed up in the studio with a little note for them.
was like,
And they're
"Hey,
breaking news.
Your guest is gone."
Yeah, breaking news. Your guest has disappeared. Oh, hang on. There's a second horse coming. The second horse knows where that lady went, and she got taken out of a TV from this one teenage boy's house. And then there's a third horse, and he's just there chill. He heard there was a party, and he wants to come hang out for a while. He's not going to say nay to a hangout session with his bros.
Oh, did you really
I'm just
do that?
horsing around.
Oh, for God's sake. Anyway, so yeah, Trick or Treat. There is some good music in here from Fastway if you're a fan of that 80s hard rock heavy metal stuff. It's some pretty good jams. But other than that, yeah, it's just, I mean, it is what it is. I do have respect for it for being a solid, legitimate representation of just being kind of a Hesher heavy metal kid, because we get a bad rap and poorly portrayed in a whole lot of ways, and a lot of them just super, super cheesy and ridiculous, right? And not so much like being made to like we're bad, just sort of laughed at, and I thought this was kind of cool for that.
What a bummer.
What?
Reminding everyone that we get laughed at for being weirdos. How dare you?
Oh, like they aren't reminded on a regular basis every day of their lives, Michelle.
I don't know. I'm never told that unless a man on horseback shows up with a note before me and such. And I keep my door locked so the man on horseback cannot reach me with bad news.
That's
that's
probably not a bad
right?
policy. I should start locking my door from the man on horseback.
Now that's a movie that needs to exist. The man on horseback, and he's just trying to give you little slips of paper with things that you don't want to know about. You're like, please stop it. And finally he gets to me, hands me a slip of paper. It just says New Carrie remake where she squirts fire. And I'm like, God
Jesus,
damn it.
God.
Man on horseback. This is why I keep my door locked.
I should have kept that thought in my head, but the moment I said I'm not going to say it, I knew it was too late. It had to come out. So here we are.
Yeah, and it came out of Carrie, all right.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
It was your thought.
It was, I know. Guys, we have 2 more Spooktobers left. Just 2.
I hope that I have more to say
2.
about the other ones. Because this one, I just don't have anything to add. And the last one, Ernest Scared Stupid, you did not want me to give my opinion. So we're not ending strong for Spooktober.
For what it's worth, I calmed down and I have forgiven Michelle for her silliness, and I did land on the 4.5. I'm not going to make her put it on the website. It's fine.
They'll put it on the website, but just in like a little disclaimer area of like things that we need a section on the website of movies we have temporarily given a 5 to upset the other one, because this is not the first one.
What a little bit of what was a little behind the curtain is I was trying, and I failed. It's my fault. I was hoping that through a little bit of application of psychic energy, I could convince you that when I upped my score from a 4.5 to a 5, your response would be, well, fine then, it's a 0. And then it would have been this whole thing, and it turns out I'm not telepathic. So, I guess now we know for sure,
Jim Varney's
right?
too hot to deserve a 0 out of 5. He's so fine. It's very confusing to me.
Even as Ernest?
I think I just as Ernest. Like, I think Ernest, not even just Jim Varney, I think like a confident man who makes himself laugh and smile is so hot.
All right, so we're done talking about Trick or Treat, but as long as we're here on Jim,
minute 3.
As long as we're here on Jim Varney, that's where Michelle would like to be. If we, I don't even know where that came from. Jesus, I'm just fucking. What am I trying to say?
You ain't wrong.
Which of the Jim Varney characters, the Ernest P. Worrell family members, as they called them, the different characters when he goes off into his tirades, which one is your personal favorite, Michelle? Which of the Worrell family do you feel is the most attractive iteration of Jim Varney? Those are 2 different
questions.
Okay, so explain why those are different questions.
Because my favorite is the old lady. The most attractive is just Ernest.
Okay. Okay, just regular plain old Ernest.
Yeah, just plain old Ernest. I like a little vanilla. Sometimes you just want like an ice cream cone that it'll do the job, and that's what Jim Varney does. No added sprinkles needed. He's already a little nuts.
Oh, God. These people are really wondering why we're still here, and so am I. Should we just...
I don't know. Just in general, I ask myself that every day.
Should we not be here? Guys, Spaced Invaders tomorrow. If you have never seen Spaced Invaders, I watched it with my mother this afternoon. As soon as we're done recording this episode, I'm going to sit down and watch it again. Because, well, obviously you know why, because I goddamn love it, and I'm going to have fun talking about it tomorrow. I'm curious to see what Michelle thinks. And then on Halloween, we wrap it all up with our only movie in Halloween month from the Halloween franchise, and it's Halloween 3. Season of the Witch. Michelle, you've never seen Halloween 3.
No. I have seen Season of the Witch starring Vanessa Hudgens. But that's a
have you seen Season of the Witch starring Nicolas Cage?
No. Maybe. I'm a big Nick Cage fan. I'd have to go look at it and refresh my memory. I was working my way through his whole discography at one point, but I don't recall if that's one that I actually got to.
And then there's another older, like a 70s movie called Season of the Witch.
Oh, it's this Nick Cage film. Yeah, I skipped this one when I went through his discography.
It's a George Romero film, Season of the Witch, also known as Hungry Wives.
You know what I really like? Garlic powder. That's my favorite seasoning of my sandwich.
Oh, you put garlic powder on sandwiches?
I don't know. I couldn't think of any other seasoning that, like, I panicked a little bit.
You put seasoning on sandwiches?
No, I was just trying to season of the witch, season of the seasoning.
Of seasoning. Oh.
Yeah. But then, I kind of panicked.
Wow.
Because I was like, not salt. Don't say salt. And somehow garlic powder made more sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We have completely derailed. We got 2 more episodes to go for the month.
I'm going back to take another nap, and then I'm going to wake up and take another nap, and then it'll be morning, and I can be awake.
So your whole life, you're saying, is basically going to be an alternating series of periods of being awake and not being awake.
Isn't that true of everybody?
That was my point. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShutter.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShutter on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShutter.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShutter.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shutter is a production of Rat Factory Media.